GSL. Welcome back. It's time to go to the other half of our group. This next matchup is going to be Dark versus Trap.
Indeed it is, and you know, a lot of people probably look at this and say, well, Dark is probably going to mow him over.
Mow him over, indeed.
Mow him right on. But Trap has always been very sharp in his PvZ. He's always got good builds prepared and like good micro. He's good at the matchup, so I don't want to count him out. He's one of these guys, kind of like Patience, where you don't consider him one of the very best Protosses, but if he's on that day, he can beat everybody.
That's very true. He's slightly overshadowed by some of these other players out there. But let's see what Trap's going to do. The problem is Trap's against Dark, and Dark is somebody, I think out of everybody that's played Zerk, Dark has shown us really how to get all the way to the end of the rabbit hole. He knows how to tech up high. He knows how to hold off attacks. He knows how to hang on. But he's also known for being very aggressive.
Yeah.
Does not play a lot of middle-of-the-road Zerk.
It's kind of weird, right? Because he is very aggressive a lot of the time early on, but then like his late-game decision-making and unit movements are second to none. I've never seen, like, he'll have like 40 drones and hold on against a 60 SCV Terran for like the whole game and then win, and it's like,
it's crazy.
He's the only one who can even do some of the things that he does, and that's why this guy was the runner-up at BlizzCon. Like, he's just, it's Dark, man. We generally consider him the best Zerg in the world. Maybe not right now, maybe it's Sue right now, but Dark is always just right up there.
Going into this game, the question is, what does Trap really have planned? Right now, Zergs are having, I think, a little bit of a stronger time against Protoss.
Yeah, for sure.
They definitely have a lot of really scary timings, and Dark is somebody who can absolutely utilize that.
Well, we'll see. He definitely knows every single build that he can use here against Trap, but I'm sure Trap has something good prepared.
Let's find out. This is game number 1 on Ascension to IR, Trap versus Dark.
You could tell them that you tried, but there ain't no going back. They'll never catch
me. God, we've casted a lot of games. 3,504. In the upper left, he is
Generic Green Wings.
Well, that's matches in GSL.
Yeah, excuse me, matches, yeah.
Yeah, matches. So each one of those, you have to multiply that by at least 2. More than that, though, because a lot of things went to 3. And don't forget, there's best of 5s in there.
That's true.
What there are not are best of 1s. Maybe way back at the beginning, we had a couple in like Code A or something.
Oh, yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Dark.
And then, of course, we have all these leagues that aren't Code S that we've casted, all these tournaments we've flown to and whatnot. It's a lot of StarCraft.
We spent a lot of time watching this game and talking about it.
Jeez. Still do. Want to do it for rest of life.
Absolutely. So, what exactly is Dark going to do here? This is definitely... Oh, is that Squirtle?
Is that Squirtle?
It's Squirtle!
Oh!
Wow.
Oh my God, it's Squirtle! Squirtle's here!
Sign my
Make the Reddit thread! He's coming back, it's clear! He's the Hot 6 Joan! They just gave him Legacy of the Void! Confirmed! Squirtle in next GSL!
That could have been more perfectly timed with the PC box coming by.
Oh my God. Yeah. Even the Korean commentators are talking about, hey, let's get him to participate in the next GSL. I mean, a lot of people might not remember Squirtle, but he gave us, he was a GSL finalist
ever.
Yeah, he was a fantastic Protoss. He never won a championship. He's one of these guys that would get second occasionally, but like his finals against MVP, a lot of people still cite as the greatest finals of all time. Definitely check that out. If you haven't, and if you have, check it out again because it was magnificent. Went to Game 7. I won't spoil it anymore for you, but MVP won.
That's where we had the Archon toilet play against no, it's too late.
Yeah,
everybody's seen that GIF.
He literally Archon
and people are actually coming here being like, hey, don't spoil this match that happened 6 years ago.
That's true. But seriously, guys, Squirtle is a legend, and it's really exciting to see him here. I don't know what's going on. Did he go to the military? Do we know?
I think so.
Probably.
He's looking fit enough.
So, yeah. So, by the way, it looks, I think an Archon drop is going to be occurring here. That would be what makes sense here, right? He chronos out the Stalker to deny Overlords. He gets a quick Mothership Core. There's the Twilight. We should be seeing a Robo go up very shortly here. And, you know, just the straight-up DTs into Archon drop and see how it goes. It's a good opener.
The Lings are coming up now. They're going to try to chase out the probe that's parked over here at the watchtower. They've managed to do just that. Yeah, I think an Archon drop is a perfectly reasonable play to go for.
It's really good once your gateways are done. Like, there's some... Oh, never mind. This is a little bit different. It's going to be possibly a charge all-in, but he's still mining gas. So it could just be charge harassment.
You don't think he could go for... Oh, well, I guess we have to wait and see if he's going to get the Templar Archives, but maybe he gets Templar Archives a little bit later? I don't know. I think you're going to do the Archon drop. You want to get that first, though, right? Before legs?
Yeah, it shouldn't be an Archon drop now because he is getting legs. Like, you can't spare any gas if you want to do Archon drop right off. So it should just be, like, charge harassment, probably with a third base, and I'm sure he will throw down the Templar Archives. Like, you have to have a Templar Archives in this matchup.
Okay. The War Prism's on the way here. Yeah, let's see how this goes. I think Trap's a player who he kind of does play a little bit differently than these other Protoss players.
Yeah,
certainly a very solid player. Oh, is that a Dark Shrine? There we go.
Dark Shrine as opposed to a Templar Archives.
Makes sense.
It's fine. DT tech is like good to have.
We also see here Roach Warren being made, about 10 Lings on the way. Current worker count is about 39 drones to 38 probes. So they're both about neck and neck right now. Zerg, of course, always going to be one base up on the Protoss, assuming that things are looking like a normal game.
And, you know, the Roach Warren is the perfect counter against this. If you just get some Roaches out and spread pretty well, it's very hard for the charge harassment to really do too much. But if he keeps him busy with it, you never know. The DTs can get in there and mix things up. A drop Overlord being made, very common against this type of play because all your units are generally out on the map. So it can be a little bit tough for your opponent to defend against it.
Warping that in over there. Now, will he actually try to push in with this?
Oh.
Kind of an odd situation. Second Warp Prism's out. So this one Warp Prism is almost like the decoy for these other units. Now, what you want to do is try to gun down the... yeah, you want to gun down that Warp Prism as fastly as you can. As fastly as you can, Artosis. And, you know, the Zealot pressure is starting to look pretty good, but I don't think this is going to break the Zerg no matter what. Now, there's 4 DTs being made, but it's in range of the vision of the Overlord. So that's a bit unfortunate there for Dark.
Yeah, and most of the Zealots got cleaned up, so he can split these Roaches much more easily now to end up dealing with this. If he snipes the Spore, he can just win. Oh, didn't snipe it. So this is where it can get a little bit difficult. If Dark just goes up into, like, Roach speed, I guess he got his layer like really late, right? He doesn't have a layer yet.
I think you're correct on that.
Yeah, so like double Prism harass kind of went away because Zergs were just going like mass Roaches and counterattacking, and they'd kill the third basically every time. But if you don't have your layer, then you can't do that because of Dark Templars. So not exactly sure where Dark is going to follow up with this.
Well, now the Warp Prisms are together. That's never a pretty sight.
Warping twice as fast?
That's right. He's going to try to come in here with this. I don't know what Trap's really trying to do here at this point in time.
Maybe he picked off like a queen or something there. Like, he needs to keep Dark back, but Dark is kept back until a layer is done no matter what anyways. So, you know, Immortal's on the way, the third base for Trap. He hasn't really done like a lot of damage, but he hasn't wasted a whole lot either.
Yeah, his strat didn't do what it was intended to do, but it's not like he lost all the Warp Prisms and the Archon, so I guess it's still sort of okay.
And he forced a bunch of Roaches, which can be bad for Zerg. Like, you make Zerg make this many Roaches. It's not the unit that you want in this matchup specifically. But, you know, from here, it looks like Dark will just go into kind of, I don't know what to, not exactly Death Ball, but like Roach, possibly some Ravagers, and Hydras.
Look at this.
Oh, maybe a big drop coming later?
I suppose, yeah, you could do that.
Maybe.
You have to keep in mind that Protoss doesn't really have that much at home, especially with the style that Protoss is set up for. It's really reliant on sentries and a few really powerful units.
Yeah, the Hydras being produced right now, that Baneling Nest on the way, Macro Hatch, and a fourth base. Trap is still trying to harass you. He only has a single Zealot in these prisms.
Well, this might be enough to threaten the Zerg to stay back.
Yeah. He just needs to buy some more time, right? Like, his splash damage isn't ready, but he has double Robo Immortals, so if he just has some force fields with that,
yeah,
he can definitely
he's
fight
fine.
against us for now. See if Baneling's speed starts right away. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, the 2 Warp Prisms, even if they're not warping anything in, and even if there's only 1 Zealot there, it can keep the Zerg in a situation where they have to continuously respect the Protoss. You have to respect the threat of the 2 Warp Prisms.
Yes, indeed. That's a very quick way for a game to get turned on its head as you are out of position and Warp Prisms fly in. As every player knows, whether they be Terran, Zerg, or even Protoss.
Or Night Elf, man. Doesn't matter. You know about that.
Yeah. Oh.
So...
I'm pretty sure the Warcraft 3 units have so much health you can't kill them with Solons. It's like 700 health. I'm like, that's more than an Ultralisk, and this is a Grunt.
Well, I think Dark at this point in time is exactly where he wants to be in this game. I will say Trap having Storm very soon here is going to be super annoying as the other player, you know, I mean, Storm can counter Hydras pretty easily. DT is spotted. It looks like it will be able to get away once picked up in the Warp Prism.
And he has bought a lot of time. As long as he micros well, if Dark attacks, he's going to be in good shape here. And he's getting into like exactly the composition he wants. A lot of Immortals, a lot of Psystorm, and then other stuff.
Yes. Oh, good catch. Takes out the Warp Prism. Nicely done. And we have more Zealots warping in over here. Now, with 1 Warp Prism out of the play, that's going to be pretty annoying. He is setting up to drop here, Artosis.
Yeah, what are these drop lords going to do? Like,
I think he's going to drop Banes on top of the army while the Hydras and the Roaches come in the front.
Not a bad call. You know,
what about those Overlords at the top?
Yeah, that's. I was wondering about that for a long time. Looks like he's just spreading them right now, maybe just to give vision. He wants to see anything incoming.
I was wondering about that earlier on. Like, what's the deal with these?
Well, actually, yeah. I wonder about that as well, because he left them for a while and now he moved them out. They aren't moved out like perfectly for vision,
also,
but they do give some.
It just seems like Dark is the kind of player that wouldn't do that unless it was very intentional. Like, he's not a low APM player.
So what is the plan here? And I actually have an idea on that, Tasteless, is that he keeps them there for a little bit because he's defending, but as soon as you move out in the map with this type of composition as Zerg, you are the aggressor basically for the rest of the game.
Right.
If Protoss is attacking you, then you've done something wrong and you're going to get close to losing. So, like, all these Overlords, I guess, you know, they could have been picked off before, but now they can't be. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, though. Okay, that's a lot of Psystorm.
Okay, here we go. Some Baneling drops happening over here. He's going to go right to where the workers are. Baneling's coming up from all sides right now. Very good Storm there on the cannon. The cannon just barely taken out. This Zerg army has to back off. That's way too many Immortals.
Really well done here.
Were workers killed? I don't know what.
No, I don't think so. Now some are, but I think that his defense there was really strong. He had 3 Stalkers in the main, which is like what you need to pick off Drop Lords before they get to a mineral line. So Trap is so much on top of so many things here.
Roaches might be able to take out these Templars, but he turns them into Archons just in time. Nicely done. And we have, right now, Dark just continuing to expand, and I think you're completely right, Artosis. This is a style that Zerg uses where they're going to be hammering the Protoss the entire game.
Yeah, and like, we see that Trap has moved onto the map. You know, I'm not, because Dark isn't actually teching up, I think that this is a mistake and Trap needs to get back. If he actually attacks in these wide open areas that have creep on him, it's going to be really hard to get anything done despite Force Field and Storm. There's just so much surface area. Which is good for Zerg.
Yes.
FYI.
Well, Protoss, I think, is expanding at a pretty steady rate. This is a map where Protoss can get additional bases fairly easily against the Zerg. It's not super burdensome. Maybe after Protoss has gotten their 6th base, I guess it gets a little bit trickier, but I don't know if this game's going to go on for that long. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, this is a good place to hit.
Yeah, kind of a circulation point here, cutting it off for a moment. Doesn't get too much done, just kind of pulling back. Has his army in 2 groups right now. And he is going for a Spire. It's a little bit late compared to the Hive. He does get the Adrenal upgrade on the way, though, so that's good. And Trap is on top of teching up as well.
Okay, he's coming in here now. I just don't know if Trap can be broken. By the way, Trap's doing a really good job this game. I have to say, Trap's really, really holding his own.
He's super on top of everything.
We're actually in a stage of this PvZ we don't normally get to in this matchup because a lot of these games end so quickly. These Immortals, though, getting busted down by these Hydras. So much of that robo-tech that the Trap had built up throughout this entire game has largely been reset.
Yeah, Dark just kind of waited and got him out of position there. And while Trap isn't like dead right this second, this was a very important moment for Dark. He's picked off so many of these important units. And in fact, he has an Ultralisk Cavern on the way, which is pretty neat because with the amount of Immortals that were out, Ultralisks are signing their own death warrant. But now that he's killed 10 Immortals, maybe he can get some Ultras in here as well.
Kind of crazy. Well, you know, when Zerg does this style, one of the important things is to have the entire tech tree set up so that when you engage and you wipe out some of their army, but they wipe out some of yours, then you identify, okay, what are the remaining Protoss units?
Yeah.
And you set up the counter to that. Oh, that got owned.
Very, very true there. Oh, my God.
Whoa. This is a really good hit here by Dark. I do not know if Dark can hold this position. We have some forces coming down here from the north.
These Adrenalings are doing some serious work right now, and Trap just having all of his units kind of out of position for the last couple attacks here.
You were talking about how Dark was playing the game of his life, but it seems like Dark just is able to get so much. By the way, that's going to be it. GG.
Yeah.
Dark wins game number 1. But Trap did a good job.
He really
did a good job.
He did. He was actually ahead in a lot of ways. But when you're playing against this composition, your move outs have to be so careful. And when he got all those Immortals caught, Dark pounced on everything. He attacked all over the place, and all the technicality of Trap's army went away. And then you're just trying to like warp in units and use 2 robos to fight against this, and that's not something that you can do. You must keep the core of your army alive all game against this Hydraling Bane style. So Trap just making this kind of, I don't know if I should call it basic mistake, but like this fundamental error against the composition that Dark had.
All right, Newkirk Precinct is going to be map number 2. Let's see what Trap does. I think Trap was able to hang on, but not for long enough. You get Dark in the late game. He's the scariest Zerg in the world, Artosis.
Yeah, kid's got snake blood. Can't kill him off.
He's got tiger blood.
Ooh.
He's got nerd blood. And that nerd blood ain't his, Artosis. Might be some of Trap's. Let's see what happens in game number 2.
You could tell them that you tried, but there ain't no going back.
All right, let's do this. In the bottom left, in the blue, he is
Generic Green Wings.
It's
Trap.
Nobody leaves here. Trap.
in the bottom right, in the red, he is
Dark.
Staying dark.
Trap.
Oh, man. Okay.
So there's this, if you've played a ton of StarCraft, you know this feeling when you're against a good Zerg player. We've talked about this from time to time, whether it's at this show or another StarCraft 2 tournament, but when you're against a really good Zerg player, there's this feeling you get where you can't get out of your base. Like, anytime you head out, you end up getting punished. And a lot of times against that, you want to play a very conservative game. Don't go out too far because he's going to have stuff and catch you and kill you. But the worst feeling is when you played all of that correctly and you have all your tech, and then the late game happens and this Zerg just starts hammering you over and over and over.
I'm sure a lot of people watching are like, Protoss can move out and attack. And it's like, yeah, I mean, kind of. A lot of games, what you'll see is the Zerg will attempt to attack, will attempt to get something done. Like, we always see these Hydra Bane attacks, right? And they kind of roll in, and either it goes well and you can win, or it goes poorly and Protoss can counterattack. But specifically in a game like this, right, Trap actually never really committed anything, so he never really lost anything, which meant Trap was not free to move out. And as soon as he did, Lings surround the Immortals, everything starts to fall apart.
It's kind of scary.
And he gets that thing where it's like, well, yeah, you can't leave your base. The Zerg has not donkeyed off any units here. You have to kind of get into the right composition so that you can fight against this super cost efficiently.
So let's see how game number 2 goes. This is a lot of times we have games that end in mid-game here. Occasionally, though, we do get a super long, super late game. We see Trap now going to go for that Stargate, probably going to be pumping some Oracles out to try to do a little bit of harass and tagging throughout this game.
And, Dark has that base, the kind of far away third base being taken because of that early probe scout. Trap looks like he's scouting a bit more with the probe here. Sends out this other probe and goes around that Overlord. So I think this must be for a proxy pylon, right?
I mean, I would imagine, right? It's never a bad idea to put a pylon all the way up there. Some Zergs don't check for that. But we'll see. We'll see what he wants to do. It seems like the probe is now arcing back around, so it's going to get spotted anyways.
Yeah, maybe this was just a sneaky probe to scout. Notice that he's not sending out his Adept. A lot of times you see an Adept sent out. But
I guess he just wants to make sure that this hatchery actually is taken here.
Well, if you send out the Adept as well, and the Zerg happens to be all inning, you know about it, but then you're going to lose because you have nothing at home. So, I mean, it's a quality scout that he got. Definitely worth the 50 minerals, I would say.
Okay, probe goes down. No shock there. We have some more gateways. Is there any chance he's going to just load up a bunch of gates and be super aggressive here? If you're trapped, do you really want to have a game that's going to last as long as game one?
I tell you, like, I think it's not necessarily a bad idea, but the build order he's doing, you can't really just make a bunch of gates off this, I would say. Like, he's going to have to take a third base. He would have a Twilight by now if he was going to all in. You know, it's like definitely Oracle into Glaives is a real thing, but this looks like he's gearing up for that third base and maybe a macro game. And truth be told, he played a very strong macro game in game number 1. I mean, it opened up with some harass and stuff, but he got into his right composition and played defensively very well until the Immortals got surrounded. And that's kind of a not too hard thing to fix from one game to the other as well, Tasteless, right? If you're like, oh god, I shouldn't have moved down that ramp with those Immortals. That's something where you're like, well, this game I won't do that. And bam, suddenly you're in a much better spot.
Okay, we've got the Adepts beginning to move out here. Ling's now coming down. What? Okay. I guess they're still fine if the Oracle's over them like that. Kind of a funny-looking maneuver.
Yeah, they Oracle going with those 5 Adepts for the pressure, just kind of trying to force some units out here. And in fact, Trap is adding a Roach Warren, making more Lings as well. So
Dark is adding a Roach Warren, yeah.
Yeah. Did I say Trap?
Yeah, you said Trap. That's okay.
Imagine if Protoss had a Roach Warren.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god, Trap has his own creep?
Well, I would mess up these Hydra Bane Zergs, man. Oh, yeah.
How are they going to kill you with their Banelings when you have your own Banelings, Artosis?
Yeah. I think you're right. I should play Zerg again.
So he's going to try to come in again. Roach Warren almost done. Not bad. Great one-shotting here. 7 workers killed, and no air units are destroyed there for the Protoss. Great job by Trap.
Great liftoff with that Phoenix and everything to tank some of that damage.
Very well-coordinated attack.
Drop Overlord on the way. 8 Roaches as well. Legs coming up for Trap. Very standard from Trap's side, but it looks and feels like we're going to see some aggression here from Dark. That's a lot of Roaches.
It really is.
There's no attack incoming from Trap, that's for sure, so these cannot be defensive. Ooh, 3 Queens on the way to make sure that the Oracles can't mess everything up.
Okay, well, keep in mind this Oracle energy is going to be really low. They're coming in and taking these workers out now, so as far as I can tell, those Oracles are just flying paperweights for the time being. The Roaches are now going to come up. We have a few Ravagers, 5 of them, in fact, being made right out in the middle of the map. Dark is getting ready to pounce.
This attack is pretty deadly. That is a lot of Roaches and Ravagers. Those 3 Queens are going to have transfusions and anti-air. Even a group of Lings in here to try to surround things. And I think a couple of those sentries are kind of new, so that he's not even going to have that many force fields.
Okay. We believe it if he has force fields, those can be busted with those Ravagers. So there's a half-life on how long that's going to last. Some of those corrosive biles actually connecting. Great transfuse there on the Queen. Perhaps a mistake to try to be targeting down that Ravager back there for Protoss. This is a pretty decisive entry point, by the way, over here. There's no real turning around right now for Protoss. Or for Zerg, excuse me.
Yeah, you're certainly right about that. And Charge is going to be finishing up. And the Zealots, like Charge Zealots do really well against Ravagers. So he might still be able to hold here. Dark in kind of an awkward spot.
Ooh. That actually connected with the Immortal.
Yeah. Charge is done. Zealot's getting on top of everything. Some great transfuses coming out, but he does kill a high-energy Queen.
But there's more Roaches coming over here. If he could just keep these Ravagers alive for as long as possible. 1 wounded over here on the in the center.
Ooh, the Oracle coming in now as the Queens are being completely cleaned up. I think Trap is going to end up holding this.
Yeah, this is a great hold, by the way, by Trap here. This is exactly what he had to do. And again, it's hard to run away with Ravagers. They're very slow units.
He is backing up. He did make some extra Zerglings, but I think that the aggression is over. Dark deciding to tech up from here.
By the way, Trap with double the workers that Dark has.
Not just that, his tech is light years beyond. He's adding his second Robo. He's making a Void Ray, like making Immortals right now.
This is definitely a game that I think Trap can win. In fact, he should win from just the way it's panned out so far.
I would be pretty surprised if he falls from here. He's up 20 workers and army and tech. It's like
kind of crazy.
This is the ultimate situation here for Trap. He should be able to finish him off.
Well, how on earth is Dark going to get another base up here?
Yeah.
All Protoss has to do is continue to make a few more key structures and units, and absolutely Trap can push out and still have enough to defend a counterattack.
Some Adepts kind of poking in here, tagging some of the army as well, but right now, the army not going to do a whole lot. He's just kind of sitting back, droning up as much as he can. A Prism on the way. This should be signaling the fact that Trap's going to move out.
Okay. What is Dark going to do to try to handle this attack? I mean, unfortunately, Dark is forced into expanding, but that expansion is going to be exactly where Trap is going to be trying to strike.
Yeah, the creep spread is not even really pushed out that far right now. Baneling speed is on the way. Infestation pit as well, so Dark kind of doing everything at the moment. Still, he's got 62 drones, so he has droned up to a reasonable amount, but this army of Trap is really technical and starting to look very strong.
I do not think we're going to see Dark try to go for a weird timing in the next game, assuming that Trap wins this. Trap really knew how to hang on. We have a bunch of Banes being made here. We'll see if this connects properly. Some of these Adepts are going to shade over here into the main, but be shut down quite quickly.
Okay, well, he made everything pull back, so should be able to get a cancel on this fourth base, and in a matter of seconds, it does go down. The Banelings are going to be the only really tricky part here. Baneling speed not quite done yet. In fact, Trap backing up. Look at that.
Well, I wonder if Dark's reputation precedes him on some level. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it could be.
Have you ever played against somebody where you feel like they're so much better than you that you actually could have won the game a long time ago, but it didn't feel real? I know I've had that.
Absolutely.
I think we all have.
Yes.
Now, he doesn't have a ton of force field, so a lot of these Banes can connect. If they hit these zealots, it's going to be huge.
Oh, yeah. He's actually getting some decent connections at first there.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Well, they hit a lot of the zealots, but I think all that Trap has to do is go back, remake an army, and push out once again. He's not losing these key technical units like the Immortals and the Archons. Storm is on the way. Looks like we may see the beginning of this Archon harass. Would not be a bad idea if he made one sentry and force fielded that ramp, but yeah, no, I guess it's too late.
He drops these Archons out, can really be very cost efficient against these Lings. And don't forget, Storm is going to be finishing the fourth base for Trap as well. So despite the fact that Dark is like holding on and still in this game, Trap still, I'm sure, is feeling like he's going to be able to take it.
Okay.
Whoa, that Archon!
A red Archon!
Oh my God.
It's a Dark Archon! The new unit in Legacy of the Void!
Oh my God. He needs to get mind control ASAP.
Right. He needs to mind control a drone, go back and start pumping mutas at home.
The trick is you mind control 2 Banelings in the middle of the Baneling pack.
Oh, that's so sick. You're so good. Look
You're like, why don't you just Storm it twice? I'm like, oh, that's what I've been doing wrong.
Wow, we never get to see an Archon that's actually been damaged since the unit's basically entirely shields. Wow, that's one way to trap those Lings in there.
They sealed their own fate.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like Protoss is going to move out again. Protoss getting close to almost doubling the supply of his opponent. I think this is the beginning of the end, Artosis.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely should be.
GG.
Okay.
Dark taps out.
We don't even see the fight at the end.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah. The army supply was like 40 against 100 or something. It was pretty one-sided. But Trap doing a good job there. Dark pulling the trigger on a very aggressive play. And Trap, you know, he kept calm and he defended it well. The 3 Queens made a difference, kept the air units off of them. But when charge finishes up, you do very, very well against these slow Roaches and Ravagers.
All right, we're going on to game number 3. Keep in mind, Dark is supposed to win this, but he might not, you know?
Yeah.
The winner in the winner's match is, the winner of this goes on to face off against Hero, the loser against No Regret.
Yeah. And Trap can screw this whole group up, too. Let's not forget, he's historically been one of the stronger PvP players in GSL.
That's so true. He definitely could take on Hero.
Yeah.
All right, it's going to come down to the map, Abyssal Reef. So far, it's 1-1. Let's see how this next game turns out. Trap versus Dark on the right side of our group in the GSL Codas. A fight to go on to the winner's match.
You could tell them that you tried, but there ain't no going back. They'll never catch me.
In the bottom right, in the blue, he is
Generic Green Wings, Trap.
Yep, that's Trap.
in the upper left. In the red, he is
Dark.
You know, Dark taking that first game in like kind of a, well, it wasn't like a standard game, but it was a macro game. Don't forget that the beginning of Newkirk was him all innings, so I'm still feeling pretty confident that he can take Trap out in this series, but both games Trap just showed that he is a very legitimately strong PvZ player.
a lot of narrow corridors on this map Protoss can push out on. So don't count Trap out just yet. I'm actually a little bit surprised in, excuse me, in game 2.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised that Dark went for that weird Ravager timing attack. I'm not sure that was really the play he needed to do.
I am as well.
Right.
And especially because of the location that he decided to attack. It's in between pylons, so you actually automatically get flanked. As opposed to having one front against charge zealots, you have two automatically.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't. Every time I see attacks like that on that map, and that's like a map I've seen a lot of Zergs do that on. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the way that he played that for sure, and not just because it was a rush build. I think it just could have possibly been done a bit better location.
You know, if you're against somebody that you know you're better than, like you just know a lot more, the general rule is if you're really not okay with losing, for instance, it's an important match, ladder match, tournament match, or just a match that involves your pride, like some other guy in your school, you know you want to dominate that nerd, don't do anything risky or crazy. Just stay back.
Yeah.
Make stuff. Let the game go on longer. The StarCraft always gets harder and harder and harder the longer the game goes on. Don't try to be fancy, because they might just hold off what you're doing, and I feel like that's what Dark has to do here. And this is nothing against Trap, by the way. I'm not trying to take away from, what a good player he is, but I do feel like Dark's on another level. So Dark just needs to basically keep playing a safe game, kind of like Hero did against No Regret, where I was thinking, okay, I know I'm better than No Regret, but I have to just make sure that I don't have any holes in my play, and I'm probably going to win this.
I basically agree with you on that. And, Ascension to Ire showed us as well, because Trap even got himself in a good spot, and Dark just waited him out to make a mistake. This map is a little bit harder to wait out a Protoss, just because, 4 bases are kind of free. They're so easy to take, and then the 5th base isn't hard, and the 6th base isn't hard, and the 7th base isn't really that hard either.
Right.
It's just like, there's so many bases clustered in such a small area. Like, Protosses can really play a strong macro game here without, making too many mistakes. Anyways, we have Glaives on the way, a very old build here from Trap.
And it looks like this is spotted here by Dark's Overlord. Great scout there. That's actually a pot of gold down there. Did you see that?
Oh, what's there?
There's a chest of gold coins, it looks like, on the map.
Well, this is underwater.
Yeah. That's where Blackbeard's pirate chest is.
I was just going to say that. That exact same thing.
He's looking for his gold coins, but he's in the wrong game. He's in Heroes of the Storm.
Now we just got to look around for Johnny Depp here.
Yeah.
Look at that ugly wall.
Yeah. The feng shui of this space, not so much.
This walling.
Ugh.
What am I looking at?
Look at that little nook there between the gateway and the cybernetic score. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. What is that?
Is that where you put your exercise bike when you're not using it?
Is he hoping Lings will pad in there and he can force field it?
Maybe. So, as this game goes on, the 3rd base is being acquired right now for Protoss. Very middle of the road. PVZ here. We do have the War Prism coming out to eventually try to lean on the Zerg, see if he can't get any punishes in there.
You know what's a little bit interesting here to me?
What's that?
Is, like, Dark defaults into Roachhorn, which forever was the thing. Like, if they were going Adepts, if they were going Glaives or something like that, you just get Roachhorn. And I guess he wasn't 100% sure whether this was whether this was Adepts or Charge. But eventually, Zerg started being able to hold with Lings against Adepts in the early game, like regular pressures. So then we saw Roachhorns kind of go away, and that's how Hydra Bane really popped up and reared its ugly head, right?
And reared its ugly head, yes.
Yeah. That strategy definitely is an ugly strategy.
That's how we know you play Protoss.
Oh,
You're not getting that strategy reared its ugly head.
Well, I mean, even Terran players at this point are looking at it like, wow, that's a good unit comp. Thanks to Solar. But, like, he's forcing these Roaches out of Dark, and no one's really that afraid of Roaches anymore. You know? Things like Force Fields and Immortals are good enough against them that it's just like, well, if you go Roaches, and I know that you have the unit called the Roach, I feel pretty okay. You know, I'm definitely not going to die to anything early on, and you know, they don't scale well. So it's just kind of something interesting about Dark's play.
Is this going to get a probe? What am I seeing? No!
I don't even know.
No, it's going to get 2?
This is wild.
By the way, Dark is not even microing that Ling. It's like just taking shields off of various units. We'll have to check later on and see if it's still there, if all the workers are out of the game, and this is the worst way that Trap ever loses a game ever.
Yeah, he's lost 2 probes now. See if it's more. The Adepts are going in the main base. I'm like looking at the mini-map right now. I just saw a ton of units move towards... I don't know, I guess the Ling must be dead by now, right?
No, it's for sure dead.
Oh, is he going Blink Colossus, you think?
You know, I don't see why not.
It's good here. That's what Hurricane did.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Protosses are having to get smarter and smarter on how to handle these Zergs, especially in the late mid-game, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, this is a good map for that as well, as you were talking about. Like we saw when Hurricane did against Scarlet. To be honest, Scarlet almost held on the first time, but the blink down and the Colossus are like, oh yeah, we can walk on cliffs. Everyone forgets about this. You know, and he kind of escaped and refilled his army, and just over time those Colossus gain a lot of value against these units, right? Like, as long as you're force fielding well. So this could actually be a little bit tough for Dark.
Yeah, Trap is actually coming in here very, very prepared. You know, sometimes I do this where I really underestimate a player. I think because we've just seen Dark do so well and Hero is just so hot right now. But Trap really did his homework. He's really well prepared. I mean, Trap might actually get out of this group, guys.
Yeah, it is definitely a possibility.
We already saw Morrow get knocked out, which was pretty crazy. So, you know... Don't count somebody like Trap out ever, I guess we can say. And then Dark continues to grow. Protoss right now powered up on 3 bases. We're still waiting to see if a 4th base is going to be taken. Right now it's just Gateways and Colossi being pumped out.
Yeah, and like the units that he has, you can't really foresee him being broken in any way. He's not being greedy. He's just making a lot of units. By the way, this Dark Shrine is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was looking at that and scratching my head a little bit. Well, I know that if this game goes on for a really long time, of course, eventually a Dark Shrine is going to be an inevitability, but I didn't think he's going to get that on 3 bases, right?
Yeah, it's really weird, right? Because he's spending so much gas already on getting Sentries and Colossus and upgrades and all this. So yeah, to see it on 3 bases is the weird part of it. But maybe he's thinking about the fact that there's probably not that much detection out. He didn't open Oracles, so it's not like there's a Spore in every line. And if you have any detection missing from any base and a DT's in there, it's automatically paid for itself. You know, you're getting a lot of kills.
By the way, for the Zerg players that are trying to take note of what Dark does and how he plays, definitely take note of those 3 Overlords he puts Banelings in. This is the second time we've seen him do this in 2 out of the 3 PVZs that we've had here. I'm surprised he doesn't bring the other Overlords, because he actually had 5-drop Overlords total. I'm surprised he doesn't have the other. Am I crazy? He had 5-drop Overlords, right? Am I totally making this up?
You might be right. I didn't.
Well, I'm surprised he doesn't bring the other Overlords with that, just so that maybe the Stalkers target those instead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Seems
like just put some in front.
Whenever you're playing a style that involves hitting with Banelings, Well, I guess the thing is he doesn't drop in the army, does he? He actually does this to try to hit all the workers everywhere.
Well, he's about to have +2 melee. That's when you want to hit because each Baneling will kill any probes it touches. So,
okay,
yeah, it looks like he's going to hit right before then. Oh, well, that wasn't.
Oh my God, Trap is
hoping.
just ready for everything.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, an attack over here at the front. Dude, Trap's going to hold off all 4 attacks. The greatest human. My God, greatest human to walk the earth. Where are these Archons being morphed in?
Yeah, he's only making Archons. He's not going for any real DT harassment, I guess.
Huh.
And I mean, it's less gas technically for these than it is for High Templars, but
I just thought the High Templar tech would have been better here just to get Storm, because you're going to want to get the. Well, he's just going to want to get that later.
He's just making a death ball. Like, I guess he's just going to attack very, very soon here. Lurker tech is on the way, so that's kind of interesting too, because Colossus technically with micro can counter lurkers, but it's the same range, so it's like super micro intensive to actually do, and takes a long time. They don't do that much damage. So,
okay, Protoss is pushing out. Zerg beginning to get into position to try to engage this. Whoa! Ooh. Great deflection there. Oh my God, he's hitting all these Banelings. Oh man, Dark might lose this. We have to see if the Hydras are going to connect properly.
A bunch of Banes.
Everything is running everywhere, Tosis. The Colossi have not been picked off yet.
A lot of them did get hit by Banelings there, so definitely bruised at least. There are some Lurkers out. He's walking around these Lurkers, but they do get moved. Colossus starting to hit them, but the Lurkers do huge damage to Colossus if you get hit.
He has no Observer? Am I crazy?
You're right. He's getting Observer speed and 2 Observers.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's a big deal.
I just assumed he had to have had an Observer in that army, but yeah, he doesn't have one. There's one moving across the map now. Now, I will say Trap's still doing a ton of damage in the meanwhile. I think Dark's going to go to the losers match, Artosis.
He might. He might. Like, if you kill this army, you can still win.
He's going to kill the lurkers for sure. We see he's trying to switch into mutas. Were those the first 2 he made? I didn't see
those are the first 2 mutas.
Okay.
Well, those might be just to hunt down a warp prism.
Immortals and Colossi versus Lurkers is not a pretty sight. I love the Stalkers blinking in the front. Look at this.
God.
He's so good. Trap blinks Stalkers one by one in the front to absorb the Baneling hits. Trap's going to win this game. Trap is killing it. Yeah, I can't believe it.
This is crazy. A huge amount of robo units here just plowing through.
Trap taking out the Zerg scum, showing all these Protoss players how to take on these Hydra Baneling users.
Oh, man. Very, very well done here by Trap, keeping all of his Colossi alive. Still has 6 Immortals. There's like okay, this is a good idea, actually. Vipers, because he didn't get High Templar tech, he doesn't have feedback yet.
Very true.
So Vipers can mess things up, but the amount of damage already done to Dark is pretty significant.
I'm not sure how much Sentry energy he has here, so a lot of these Banelings might just connect on top of everything. Well, it's funnily enough, it's the Archons taking out the 2 remaining mutas that are in that fight. I think this is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I don't know if he has quite enough left over here.
Well, you can really see the Hydras are countered by that Colossi.
Well
GG.
done.
Trap's going to the winner's match. A PvP Hero versus Trap coming up next.
Yeah, and that absolutely could go either way. Trap is a very decisive and strong PvP player, but let's talk about that PvZ again for a second. 2-1 over Dark. Just showing some great play here tonight. Some of these players this season so far, Tastes, people have been underestimating, and here they are popping up like Patience we saw last night, winning that group, and now Trap taking down the runner-up from BlizzCon.
Dark looking worried, and by the way, man, that means we got a mirror matchup for the winners and the losers. Dark versus No Regret, too. I don't know, man. Let's see what happens. Trap versus Hero coming up next after this short break.